So I think the first session I was part of it almost throughout. The second was midway. Few things I noted down was something talked about even earlier. I know Vasu was new to this. Uh, few things in terms of pauses, no stack questions, we talked about earlier, right? And more focus on, again, too many what questions. I think that could be reduced a bit to focus on the who, right? And again, in a short session as this for 30 minutes, it's good to focus straight away into your 3.1 to 3.4 sub competencies instead of not too much of exploration on the first part of it. So ideally in a 35 minute session, again, I'd like to request inputs from Subhash and Rekha as well. So about 10, 50 minutes or so, 10 minutes or so, 10, 50 minutes or so on the first agreement, right? And next 10, 15 on the exploration, which is the, talk a little more details on to explore what you want to talk about. And finally on the actions, the last 5, 10 minutes on the actions. So we'll make it a complete session. Also will help us give right feedback to the coaches. Right. I think that's it. I had. I also attended Rohan's session, which was pretty good. I did attend midway, but I thought the exploration and the ending was done very well by Rohan.
Srinath, anything specific on the CC5, which we are focusing? Anything you want to add on that?
CC5, only thing was silence I talked about, which I noticed, and pausing. Again, just little more listening is required for you to maintain presence. Right. I think that's it I had.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Rekha, would you like to add to that, please?
Yeah, just based on what Srinath said, because I was not in any room anytime, right? But from what you say now, Srinath, so this is one point I wanted to highlight, that how the competencies are interrelated to each other. And it is not, you should not look at them as, have I done this, have I done that, but you should rather look at it as, have I completed the picture? So oftentimes for me, competencies are like a jigsaw puzzle, and when they are given to you, when they are taught to you, they are taught to you at piecemeal because it is difficult to swallow the whole thing. But now, over a period of time, you should start compiling the pieces together to see what picture is emerging for you. And for different people, different pictures might emerge. So there is no end picture, but you see how these pieces fit together, but they talk to each other. So if you're not listening, then you can become absent, or because you're absent, you're not listening. And it's difficult then to say which is the chicken and which is the egg, but it doesn't matter. Right? Check both and make both happen. So that was one thing. And I agree with what Srinath is saying about half an hour. If you have half an hour, so the rough division is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. That's what we say, right? Because each part is equally important. That's the logic. So if you have 30 minutes, then don't go beyond 10 minutes of contracting. And in fact, this is something Shweta and I were talking about before all of you came, that how much deep to go and how much to nudge and how much to chew. So you have a full meal, but in this much time, only one small bite can be taken in 30 minutes. So only focus on that small bite. Don't become ambitious and say, I want to open up the whole thing in half an hour. It doesn't work. And this control has to be maintained by the coach. So while we are saying that the conversation should be led by the client, the control has to be with the coach. Yeah, so these are the 2 points I just wanted to add on to whatever Srinath said.
I love that. Control has to
Yeah,
be
thanks, Rekha.
beautiful, beautiful. I think led by the coach, but controlled by the client, depending on the time. Thank you for that.
No, Rekha
Other
is
way around.
controlled by
Other
the
way around.
client, by the coach.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Led
sorry. Mind
by
Yeah.
control by the
Yeah,
coach.
but just to add, in a non-controlling way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, of course, in a partnering way, to put it there. Kriti, you want to go?
So I hopped into two rooms. The first room, which I was in, uh, unfortunately, presence went for a toss because the coach was traveling, and the session was done while, the coach was in a vehicle. The face was half cut. I think it's good to politely excuse yourself from such a session rather than just trying to force fit, because how you come across as a coach, that's what Rekha said in the beginning. That absolutely went in for a toss there. So just trying to live up to a commitment which is half fulfilled, uh, better to excuse. That's what I felt. And then the internet is patchy. The presence is not there because today's session is primarily about presence. So I'm focusing on presence. Then the second session, which I hopped in, I was for the first part. The coach did a wonderful job. She was completely conscious and present. That is what I noticed. A good session. However, one thing that took me a little off was going back to the past. I think this is something we see very often in the sessions, but 20 years back, how it happened. Really, what are we doing going back 20 years? Not required. Coaching is feeding forward. That's what I felt. And also, the topic was a little personal health issues, and the client did mention certain things which normally anyone would not say unless a trust is built. So the trust was built very beautiful, but then an opportunity to explore emotions, how the client is feeling at that time when they're sharing something very, very personal. Again, that links back to CC5. So I'll just stop here.
Thanks, Kriti. Only I'm left, right? So I also had a peek into two breakout rooms. So one, purely from a presence point of view, I thought there was some scope to improve. And I would always recommend learn the art of giving pause. That is one thing that is missing, which could have helped the coach to kind of demonstrate presence and be present also. So one is a pause. Second, two questions were asked. Every question was a set of two questions. No, that doesn't work. That also will distract the coach's presence and also the client's presence. So one question at a time, leave that and just wait for the client to ask if the client is not clear. So two questions and giving pause is something that I picked up from the first session. The second session, since I know both of them, we had very contrasting styles. The coach is someone whom we know has a natural presence and is relaxed, and the client is someone who is the opposite, very fast speaking, and somebody who's in a hurry, just by nature. But we saw that contrasting style. So, for somebody who's generally fast paced, it's good to align with the client. And I think as a client, he experienced that today. And for coach, just continue what you're doing. And just to put a perspective, the coach is at around 50 plus practice hours. That shows. So those of us who are at 50s and 80s and hundreds, like Venkat, Mani had a lot of good things about your session before he left, saying that when you're present and you're just above 100 hours. So that intentional practice definitely helps. So aligning with the style and also be more present. I think all of us can still work on presence. This is the last session on presence. We'll go to the next competency in November. But let us remind ourselves that we all have to deepen the presence. Again, invoking Marcia, she says mastery is not upskilling, it is deepening presence. Right? That's one of her famous quotes. So what does it take me to deepen presence is something that I need to ask, all of us need to ask. It could come from what you do outside the coaching practice also, right? Which is what is embodying coaching mindset. Yeah. But at least presence we need to work on. That's all. That's all I got to observe. Back to you, Shweta.
May I add something struck me, Subhash, from what you said about the multiple questions, right? So, two things, one for the client, one for the coach. So I have found oftentimes that people who ask multiple questions or tend to go into explanation of their questions, right, basically are coming from a sense of I'm not understood. So I'm not understood, so I need to explain myself further. So you'll find people asking, clients asking, am I making sense? Am I making sense? Right? So there is a need to go into explanation because I have an inherent feeling I'm not understood. So as a coach, if you are that, then you be watchful because then you'll be saying the same question multiple times, explaining, giving all that. So that is one. So that is for the coach to work on themselves. Now, how it lands on the client, I feel, is that when we ask multiple questions, one, like Subhash said, they get confused, right? But there is another angle to it, which is that they might choose to answer the question which is most comfortable for them. You ask me two questions, I will answer whichever one I feel okay about, right? That's a natural, we want to preserve ourselves. That's a natural tendency. So don't give an opportunity for clients to do that. So that is one way of challenging, Shweta. You don't have to obviously challenge. You can say, I'll ask you one question, you answer this. You cannot answer some question I have not asked. So that is a possibility if you ask multiple questions. Yeah.
And if you just plug in to the earlier point Kriti made, also make the client, let the conversation move forward. So,
Yeah.
again, the client also will be comfortable beating around the bush, right? Even if the topic is important and client is committed, but we are wired to play safe.
Yeah.
So to that extent, we are mindful about asking a forward-moving question and spice it up with a who element. Yeah, absolutely, it will move forward. The client will be forced to think.
I'm very tempted to ask you, what do you mean when you say spice it up with a who element?
No, see, the client would be stuck with the what, right? The client is talking about, this is what I want to achieve, which is technically the what. But the more you focus on the person, without ignoring the what, which the client really wants, So it's not moving away from the what and just look at the potential, right? It doesn't serve the client. So, even a tadka of, I had my dinner, so, dinner time. So I'm saying it'll help. So the idea is, this is a very PCC level stuff. Make sure that every question the client is moving forward.
Amazing.
And-
Thank you so much.
And also that bit, Kriti, which you said about 20 years, right? Now, if I'm a coach and I'm coming from, I don't know who the coach was, etc., but I'm just saying, if I'm a coach and I'm coming from either background of therapy or having been through therapy or interest in therapy, I need to be watchful because I'm actually now treading a very thin line. And I don't want to cross the line and violate code of ethics.
Yeah, absolutely. Which
Violation
is
of code of ethics is a non-negotiable at any level of credentialing. Yeah.
It's a very thin line. Beautifully said, right? Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so very much. One question, guys? Anybody have one important, nice question? Because we are at 9:02, but I think we have our
Spicy, huh? Spicy question. Huh?
spicy tadka question. Anybody?
All
No.
sent hungry.
I think we're all fried, like so much of information and amazing it is. This is like total PCC level stuff, guys. So if you're here and if you're on your ACC journey, I think this is the place to be. We're going to be meeting again next. So every second and fourth Wednesday is what has been decided. And next month, 13th and 27th, we're going to be taking CC4. And Rekha, do I have your permission to announce that Rekha will be introducing her favorite topic CC4 on 13th. So try not to miss it.
And sorry to interrupt, while we focus so much on CC3, CC8, ethics, which Rekha just highlighted, trust is the basis of any relationship. And I think that's one of Rekha's favorite, right? So looking forward to. Yeah. And
Yeah.
just to add to what Shweta said, just spread the word around. A lot more people should be taking benefit. Srinath, Rekha, Kriti, me, Mani was there. I think, we can have
Priya, Priya
breakout.
is also there. Yeah.
Priya also was there. So, yeah, just spread the word around, especially the new Radhika and others, Vasu, others, in your groups. Just share that.
What if we just committed to inviting two more people,
Yeah.
each one, and ask them to invite a couple more people so that this becomes more of a playground, like multiple
Yeah.
people, more questions, more fun, more contribution. So I want to thank each one of you for being here, and I know it was. I'm sorry, I'm being a little way worth your time. So please block your calendars for the next 13th and 27th. Don't wait. And we hope to see you again next time. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, mentors.
Bye, everyone.
Being here. Good night.
I think
Thank
Anupama
you
has
so
something
much.
to say.
Thank you,
And someone want to
everyone.
say something?
you.
No, I had a question, but I will
Go
just,
ahead.
yeah, just, Rekha, whatever you said about, some way, there's something coming from past, right? It's an awareness, intuition as a coach. What can you use that in the coaching space? I mean, how can you use that if we are not supposed to go to the past? How can we leverage that in the coaching space?
That's a very good question, right? Because if you look at it logically, everything is from the past only. As the client is coming to you for coaching because of the past. So you cannot not go into the past. What you need to be looking out for is if the client is talking about repetitive patterns over number of years. And no shift has happened, right? That is 100% not a coaching situation, right? One. Second thing is, how far back do you need to go to get answers? If the answers are so deeply there 20 years ago, then digging 20 years ago material, you know how deeply it is buried. Digging that up, visualize it. You're digging up something which you have buried 20 years ago, lots has come and settled on top of it. It's going to create a lot of trauma, which you're not going to be able to handle. Okay? So therefore, no. And the third thing is just touch upon it and move forward. Don't linger anytime in the past. You have to touch, see if something is coming from there, bring to the present, move forward. We have a tendency to linger, that is so juicy, right? Over there. Be watchful about how, as a coach, you are feeling greedy. You don't need to go to the past for taking the client forward unless and until there is something to resolve over there. And if there is, then this is not a place for them to be. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, Rekha. But anytime are we supposed to advise that, later that, therapy may help if you really genuinely feel that, or it is a strict no?
You ask yourself, so I'll not give you, there's no straightforward answer. Mine is always questions. I'll leave you with a question. Where is that need coming from? That's all.
That need coming from. But ethics-wise?
Ethics-wise, what? You're offering advice in the session?
No, I'm saying, advice. Yeah, it's an advice. Yes. Yes, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I can just take 1 more minute, I had a real life experience, Dave, yesterday, where in a group session, somebody just starts off saying that I was born here. It was just a mid review of a group engagement, and then I went to MRC Wellington. I want to become a hockey player, and all that stuff, and then and he was just not stopping. The entire group is just waiting, right, patiently. So I'm going back to Rekha's earlier point. The need to step in was my job there, right? So I said, "Oh, you are in MRC Wellington. I grew up there first 4 years." That's how I interrupted. Then I said, in the interest of time, what was the lesson that you learned from all the diverse experiences? This is what Rekha said. Just pick up the lesson and move on. The client will go into the past, especially if there's so much there. Some not necessarily trauma. If there is that burden of something from that space. No, client will go there. So why I'm saying that is, we should not. It should not be like hot potato and then you move forward. No, you have to still handle that with empathy with the client, without violating CC1, forward moving, and then serving the client. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rekha and Subhash.
Brilliant question,
Thank you,
Anupama.
everyone. Thank you for joining.
Big picture, guys. One nice bright smile. And there you go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
very
Bye.
nice
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.